up, Taiwan? I'm Jeremy Olivier, bringing you the latest news from here in Taipei. Taiwan's military has just wrapped up its first day of live-fire missile tests in the southern county of Pingtung using the U.S.-purchased HIMARS system. Defense reporter Jaime Okan was there to see them in action for the first time.
At this secret military base in southern Pingtung, Taiwan's army is making history. For the first time, Taiwan is firing the US-made HIMARS, or High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. It's one of the most precise weapons in the world that fires rockets and missiles on the back of a truck. Soldiers here are learning how to hit targets at sea as part of annual missile tests.
我们今天实施火箭弹的射击训练。那回到驻地之后，我们实施战备任务训练。待战备任务训练都完备之后，我们才会实施成军。
This test has been 5 years in the making, after Taiwan first ordered 11 HIMARS systems in 2020. The first batch of those weapons arrived roughly 6 months ago. But in 2022, Taiwan bought an additional 18. If all goes to plan, Taiwan will receive 29 HIMARS systems. And so the goal now for the military is to figure out where the weapon fits in the overall defensive strategy, taking lessons from the war in Ukraine on how to best utilize this kind of firepower. In Ukraine, soldiers have been using the HIMARS to hit Russian military facilities with precision without being exposed to a counterattack for too long. Eyeing threats from neighboring China, Taiwan could do the same if a war broke out, as some of the missiles in the HIMARS can reach almost 300 kilometers.
Once you fire a big artillery system, you got to get out of there very quickly because the enemy's going to be able to find you and return fire. So the HIMARS is going to be far more survivable in its ability to shoot and scoop. These weapon systems, these HIMARS, could basically fire from a place that would be very hard to find before they fired, knock these things out, and that would complicate Chinese planning.
Late last year, photos emerged of Taiwanese soldiers in the U.S. state of Oklahoma learning how to operate the HIMARS, and it's the same unit that's taking part in these missile tests. As more U.S. weapons continue to arrive, Taiwan's biggest challenge may be ensuring that soldiers on the ground know how to operate these advanced systems.
And that's the key piece, because you can get Taiwan all the great weapons in the world, but at the end of the day, if this thing actually happens, if the commanders on the ground aren't totally sure of how they're supposed to use this weapon, this thing could fall apart pretty quick.
As Taiwan wraps up these historic HIMARS tests, the Army here says it feels confident about its capabilities, as it takes what could be another step towards modernizing the military. Fu Hao-hong and Jaime Okan in Pingtung County for TaiwanPlus.
South Korea says it's detained 2 Taiwanese nationals for illegally entering and filming at a U.S. military base. The 2 men were held after filming at an air show at Osan Air Base, 60 kilometers south of Seoul. The U.S. military has barred Chinese and Taiwanese citizens from its bases in South Korea due to recent cases of illegal filming. Local media say the suspects violated that ban. South Korean police are considering whether to seek formal arrest warrants. Representatives from a temple in China are being investigated over suspicions they're in Taiwan to promote unification under the guise of a religious exchange. Reese Ayers has more.
An innocent religious exchange or a matter of national security? It's a distinction Taiwan must make amid another suspected case of Chinese infiltration. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council has received reports that a group representing the Fumei Temple from China's Fujian province have met local officials here in Taiwan. But why is that an issue? Well, Taiwan has strict and clear regulations on groups from China who intend on doing so-called professional exchanges in Taiwan. Apparently, there's no record of this group applying for a permit that would allow them to have the kinds of meetings they're accused of having. The fear from officials is that this group is here to conduct united front work, essentially a campaign by the Chinese Communist Party to influence and recruit people outside of China to promote Beijing's agenda. Taiwan has repeatedly expressed concerns about increasing attempts of this nature. The Mainland Affairs Council have said that for several years now, the CCP has been using religious exchanges as a way to promote its policy of unifying Taiwan with China. These ongoing attempts have led lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party to put forward several proposed changes to national security laws, amendments that would increase penalties and broaden the scope of those laws to include punishments for not only those who actively manage United Front campaigns, but also intermediaries who help spread information or source funding for them. The Interior Ministry also recently set up a website where groups from Taiwan hoping to engage in cross-strait religious exchanges are asked to log in and make public the intention of their visit. Yet another mechanism Taiwan is using to potentially deter or catch nefarious exchanges happening on either side of the strait. Scott Huang, Alex Chen and Rees for TaiwanPlus.
China and the United States have agreed to dramatically lower tariffs on each other's goods. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced the development following 2 days of talks in Geneva.
We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially moved down the tariff levels. Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%.
U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods will fall from 145% to 30%, and Chinese tariffs on U.S. goods will fall from 125% to 10%. Asian and European markets rallied after the announcement, as have U.S. futures. Investors are hoping the breakthrough means a full-scale trade war has been averted. It's been just over a month since U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 90-day pause on sweeping tariffs that sparked trade tensions around the world. Now Taiwanese bike manufacturers, who rely heavily on the U.S. market, are facing a wave of uncertainty. Lauren Pattimore reports.
Carbon and alloy wheels. That's Jeff Chen's specialty. He leads Joy Group, a bike manufacturing company based in Taichung, building on the legacy of his grandfather, who started the business in the 70s. Chen makes tyres for high-end bikes that he sells to the US and Europe. His is one of 900 companies in Taiwan's multi-billion US dollar bike manufacturing industry. But US President Donald Trump's threat to impose a 32% tariff on imports from Taiwan, a move now delayed until July, has left the industry in limbo.
这个是一下子来的又急又猛，然后百分比又高。那我们当初也是都在等客户那边的反应是什么，因为特别是美国而已嘛。
Orders were dropped when the tariffs were announced on April 2, then surged a week later because of the pause, as customers realised they had a small window to avoid steep levies. Now, Taiwan's manufacturers are grappling to meet much higher demand. But as Washington and Taipei negotiate a trade deal, manufacturers like Chen are finding it hard to plan for the future.
这个部分太不明朗，大家没办法猜测。那有些人是说有可能高于10%或者到30%，那可能三方面都要吸收某程度的百分比。
Taiwan's manufacturers have specialised in making components for final products, meaning anywhere producing bicycles rely on the country for parts.
我们在自行车产业，那种扮演的角色是，比如汽车的引擎，所以我们做的是自行的驱动件。那驱动件有化骨跟轮圈组两项是我们主要的项目。
Some analysts say even if Trump imposes tariffs on Taiwan, their market is still a better option than other competitors, like China.
The market is dominated by Taiwanese players. Who else can you source? Because let's say your competitor would be Chinese, say Chinese manufacturers in China, but they're having a higher tariff, and then also their technology and their production is not up to the kind of high-end bike required. So in this sense, the game is still by the Taiwanese manufacturers.
Trump hopes tariffs will encourage global manufacturers to move production to the United States. But that's an unlikely option for businesses like Chen's. Taiwanese bike company Giant says replicating production there would be nearly impossible due to higher costs and labour challenges. For now, as Chen waits for Washington to decide how their goods will be taxed in the US, his only choice is to follow his grandfather, making bike parts to keep food on his family's table. Leon Lien and Lauren Pattimore for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's former president, Tsai Ing-wen, will visit the UK later this week, marking her first trip to the country since leaving office. Tsai's office says she will visit the UK on the heel of her trips to Lithuania and Denmark. While in the UK, Tsai is expected to meet with British political figures, representatives of academic institutions, and Taiwanese people living there. The visit comes after British newspaper The Guardian reported last October that the UK Foreign Office asked Tsai to defer her earlier planned visit over concerns about angering China. Tsai, president for 2 terms, left office in May 2024. The annual World Health Assembly is about to meet in Geneva, but Taiwan is once again not invited. But that isn't going to stop one group advocating for Taiwan's participation from heading to Europe, with hopes of sharing Taiwan's global health advancements and ideas with the international community. Tiffany Wong reports.
Taiwan may not be invited to the World Health Assembly, but that's not stopping this group of advocates who are calling for the country's inclusion in the United Nations from heading to Geneva this week.
Taiwan can help! Taiwan can help! WHO for Taiwan!
The Taiwan United Nations Alliance is just one of several groups flying to Switzerland to advocate for Taiwan's place at the WHA, which is set to begin on May 19th. The Ministry of Health and Welfare is also sending a delegation to meet with other global health representatives on the sidelines of the official conference. Taiwan has not been invited to the WHA since 2017 due to pressure from China. The country was previously allowed to participate as an observer from 2009 to 2016 under a more China-friendly administration.
这次出访，我们还有一个蛮重要的一个行程，也就是说我们会拜访在布鲁塞尔会拜访我们的欧洲议会，然后另外我们也会跟乌克兰的非政府组织合作，那也会沟通很多合作的细节，那会扩大整个在欧洲这一方面的合作。
The organization will set up an exhibition in Geneva with the themes of technology and humanitarianism, showcasing Taiwan's accomplishments in global health to promote exchange and diplomacy as the WHA is ongoing. Even without a seat at the table, civic groups like this one say they'll continue to show up and advocate for Taiwan on the international stage, even if they have to bring their own chairs. Andy She and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The Taiwanese community in Toronto came out in full force at an annual charity run to call for Taiwan's inclusion ahead of the World Health Assembly.
公共卫生和健康，它不是商品，它更不是这个政治的场域。世界卫生组织是世界上最重要的卫生组织，不应该排除台湾的参与。
Running and walking under the name of Team Taiwan, the group raised $8,000 for the McKinsey Health Foundation's annual event. The team says it hoped to show Taiwan's commitment to combating global health issues and Taiwan's determination to participate in the WHA, the World Health Organization's top decision-making body. The head of Taiwan's representative office in Toronto also thanked Canada for openly supporting Taiwan's inclusion in the assembly. It's one of the few countries to do so. Public support for same-sex marriage in Taiwan has dipped, according to the results of a new survey. The survey, led by LGBTQ+ advocacy group Taiwan Equality Campaign, found that 54% of Taiwanese people support same-sex marriage, which became legal in Taiwan in 2019. That's down 2 percentage points from the group's 2024 survey. The group says the lower results are due to a lack of government action on advancing LGBTQ+ rights. They called on officials to do more, including releasing a draft bill on artificial reproduction. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, we head to Buenos Aires, where thousands of bikers are riding together to raise awareness for prostate cancer. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and Osaka, download the TaiwanPlus app.